As we've officially made it to the end of 2023, it's time to now talk about my favorite movies of this past year. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ben. On this channel, I love to talk about movies and TV, and if you also love to talk about movies and TV, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. As we get into this, the most important thing to remember is that these are my favorites of the year. They may not be your favorites because film is subjective, and that's okay. This is not the best of 2023 because at the end of the day, these lists are subjective, and it's all opinion, of course. So you might like a movie more than another movie, although objectively it might be better than another one, stuff like that. Be sure to let me know down below in the comments, what are some of your favorite movies of the year? I did unfortunately miss a handful of movies that I wanted to see before the end of the year. I also didn't get to rewatch some movies that I wanted to revisit to really solidify where they were on my list. Narrowing down this list and really deciding what movies were above other ones or lower than other ones, it was hard to decide. As of filming this video, I have seen 132 2023 releases, which is lower than prior years, but this year I really just focused on watching the 2023 releases that I wanted to see, not just watching a movie because it was a 2023 release. There were some real gems this year, so let's talk about them now, and with some honorable mentions, which is basically just 20 through 11. To Catch a Killer, a really damn solid investigative crime drama thriller. It's a movie that never shies away from showing the horrors of the world that we live in. Shailene Woodley continues to prove why she's one of the most underrated actresses working today. Maestro, which features two of the best leading performances of the year with Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan. Champions, a really heartfelt movie that just puts a smile on your face. It's dumb, but I had a fun time with this return to form kind of 90s comedies that we don't really get too often. Fair Play, a tight thriller that just keeps you on the edge of your seat and you are invested in this romance that is unfolding before your eyes and you're basically seeing it deteriorate by the minute. Knock at the Cabin, the newest movie from M. Night Shyamalan that feels like one of his best, really. The Deepest Breath, arguably one of the most, if not the most underrated movie of the year. I don't feel like most people are talking about this one. It's a documentary, had me on the edge of my seat and really emotionally invested to the point where I was crying through the credits, so be sure to check this one out on Netflix. The Little Mermaid. Hey, this movie is pretty high up on my list and you might be surprised by that, but I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than the animated movie. The music is great. Halle Bailey is a star, and Wild Uncharted Waters is a banger. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, maybe not the best in the Mission Impossible series, but it is still a damn good movie. The stunts are incredible and just Tom Cruise manages to outdo himself continuously. All of Us Strangers, a quiet, haunting little movie. It's a film that highlights the wounds that are opened as children and they never really get fully healed even through our adulthood. And the movie offers a meditative journey through self-discovery and just grief, learning how to cope with loss. It is devastating. And finally, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. When this movie is going at 100,000 miles per hour, seemingly, it is the most fun thing ever, honestly. And one of the most visually stunning movies I've ever seen. But with that down, let's get into number 10. The Iron Claw, one of the couple A24 movies you will see on this list, who just, by the way, continue to put out the most original work right now in Hollywood. This is a movie that just crawls up on you and delivers some gut punches in the third act that just continuously had me swelling with tears. It's a slow movie and I wasn't expecting that because it's a wrestling movie. Going into it, I was like, oh, it's gonna have a snappy energy to it. Obviously, the story of the Von Erichs is a tragedy in and of itself. It's an American tragedy that not many people talk about. I feel personally it's a story I knew nothing about going into it, and that's the ideal way to watch this movie. This sense of dread is built throughout the first two acts that just blows up in your face in the third act with a handful of moments that really just made me think and look back upon this film. It has this sense of grace and delicacy with a story that is pretty rough. In a lot of ways, it is surface level in terms of character development, but the performances shine. Zac Efron delivers probably his career best. It's less of a sports movie and more of just a family drama about brotherhood, and especially if you have a sibling, but specifically a brother, Iron Claw is going to impact you pretty heavily. Number 9 is Past Lives, with some of the most profound writing of the year. It's a brilliant, subtle, and melancholy look at relationships and the choices that we make in life that set us down these different paths, and the relationships that don't really get to form in a way that we were hoping necessarily. How as we get older, we seemingly grow apart from the people that are closest to us, and we go in our different directions, and our lives don't really cross until later on in life when they're seemingly at their peak in a way, and you're left to really decide what you want for your future. The performances are terrific. T.O.U. was one of my favorites of the year. I would love to see him get more award recognition, though I don't really think he's going to get it. And Celine Song's screenplay is just great. It's probably the best love story of the year. Now this next one is a bit of a surprise. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. The best animated movie of the year in my opinion. This is just a fun time. Taking inspiration from popular animated movies of the past couple years with its animation and just simply its lively energy that's just bolstered with charisma. The voice cast is stellar, and it's the best iteration of the Turtles in film that I've seen personally. I didn't grow up with any of the other iterations, but this one felt the most accurate to what I know of the comics and their real growing up origins. The soundtrack and score are superb. It feels like just ripped out of the 90s. I was having so much fun with it that I didn't want it to end, and I could just live in this world that has so much energy. At number 7, a completely opposite movie from the definition of the word fun, May December. While it may not be a fun movie, it is a movie that probably had one of the strongest impacts on me of the year. It's an intoxicating movie. These characters are just broken, and you see throughout the movie how little things in their past are catching up to them, and how this past trauma has never really been healed or even explored in a healthy way for that matter. It's an intricately crafted melodrama. The performances are truly nuanced. Charles Melton is nothing short of extraordinary. His performance really shows a lot of restraint, and you can just see through his eyes, which when you know an actor can do a lot through their eyes, that is showing something. You just see through this broken character that never really got the right amount of attention that he needed because he just had to grow up so quickly, having to deal with children of his own as a 7th grader. The screenplay is multi-layered, the score is suspenseful. Over the years rewatching it, I'll just continue to love it more, I feel. Number 6, maybe the dad movie of the year, Air, which tells the story of Michael Jordan's origins with Nike. This is a movie that is just effortlessly entertaining. The performances are terrific. It's riveting, surprisingly. The movie just continues to leave you on the edge of your seat, but in a fun way. It's not a movie that is really just like a thriller, more so of a lighthearted drama. The writing is snappy and the edits are quick. If you're a fan of sports like myself, if you're a fan of the 80s culture like myself, if you're a fan of just interesting stories like myself, this is a movie for you. Breaking us into our top 5 is the movie that is being called the warm hug of the year, The Holdovers. And this movie, deservedly so, has that title because it feels like a warm holiday trip. You want to bundle up under a blanket and watch this one with your people closest to you. It's really emotional at times. It's really funny at other times. The trio of Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa is a triumph. It's just easy to get invested in the characters and the emotional story. A delightful little movie. Number 4, the movie that really snuck up on me, kind of this year's The Social Network, Blackberry. You want to talk about a riveting movie? This is it. It has one of the best scripts of the year. The pacing is sublime. But really the thing that people have been talking about all year long is Glenn Howerton's somehow underrated performance. It's a performance that both at the same time has a lot of people talking about it, but still doesn't have enough people talking about it because it's not getting as much recognition as it deserves. He's a tour de force. He's just absolutely insane, encapsulating this character, the drive and real anger and angst that someone who wants power has, to really just that drive to get to the top of their game. It's a truly committed and dedicated performance. But overall, it's a fascinating look at the quick downfall of BlackBerry, the company that went from really high up to really low down. It shows how at one moment you can have it all, but if you don't continue to grow as a company, or maybe you grow too much, you can lose everything in a matter of minutes. Now, the top 3 is where it gets really tricky, because my number 3 spot has been sitting at number 1 for a long time, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. A lot of this list is interchangeable, but Guardians of the Galaxy is just probably the most emotional Marvel movie that I've seen. You can tell how much these characters mean to James Gunn. He put everything into this final movie, his final turn in the MCU for at least right now. It's an epic movie. The action sequences are spectacular. The hallway sequence, if you know, you know. It's just a badass movie, but equally as emotional. Like I briefly mentioned, Rocket's story here is what shines. He's a brilliantly layered character, and I wasn't expecting to be as invested as I was in his arc. Seeing this family of misfits grow throughout this trilogy has been nothing short of a special experience. The dog days are over. What some might call Christopher Nolan's magnum opus, Oppenheimer, is at number 2. A movie that is just nothing short of a masterful achievement in filmmaking. Its 3-hour-long runtime is nothing short of daunting. However, it's a movie that I just continually find myself thinking about. I want to give it another watch, dissect it, and analyze it for that matter. Its filmmaking alone makes it a movie that you want to continue to revisit as someone who wants to go into the field of filmmaking, but also just as a film lover. It's incredible how a movie like this took the world by storm alongside Barbie, but I'm so happy that it did, because for a lot of people this might not have been a movie that would have been one that they were eagerly anticipating, but because of Barbenheimer, it happened. On a technical level, it's a masterpiece. The performances across the board are phenomenal. It truly is a near perfect movie. When it came down to choosing my number 1, it had to be the movie that not only inspired me to go out and try to craft something for myself, but also had me riveted as an audience member. Talk to Me from Raka Raka. It's inspiring how a YouTube duo can go out and make one of the most profitable movies of the year on a very low budget. Go out there, produce it, get funding, all that good stuff, and then get bought by A24, become a pretty big hit. All of that in and of itself is great. But then you have the fact that it's just a phenomenal movie. It's terribly scary. Not only does it just get under your skin watching it in a theater, that was the way to see this movie. There are moments that are gripping. The hand itself, which is gripping, no pun intended. There's some of the most memorable sequences of the year. I love the soundtrack, but the cast of a lot of newcomers who don't really feel like newcomers, they are just so believable and feel like they've been acting for years. It doesn't slow down. The twists and turns had me entranced. It revitalized this love of horror and the genre itself that I have, because you can do a lot of unique things in tackling difficult themes as well at the same time. You can do those two things and they go hand in hand, no pun intended.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
It's one of the strongest directorial debuts I've ever seen. One of the biggest surprises of the year without a doubt. It had to be my number 1 because it inspired me at the end of the day. But that does it for the list of my favorite movies of the year. Be sure to let me know down below in the comments, what are your favorite movies of the year? I'd love to see your lists. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, sticking with me for another year. As always, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, as well as that notification bell so you don't miss any further videos. I can't wait to continue talking movies into 2024, and thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.